1,000 laughs over a weekend as well. Vail Comedy Festival. Pet an alpaca or hike a trail. Memorial Day weekend in Vail.
Hi, everybody. We're back with another episode of Live from Vail Comedy Festival. It's been about a month since the Comedy Festival, and we're lucky to have Sean Flanagan from Nashville, Tennessee, join us. How you doing today, Sean?
Great. It's good to be here.
Awesome. We're just going to catch up and talk about your experience at the festival so people can benefit from that. It's every Memorial Day weekend, and tickets go on sale every January 1st. Sean, let's start with this. You're in Tennessee. How did you get to the festival?
Yeah, so I flew into Denver Airport, and then I got to pick up and ride with two of the headliners, Mack and Tim Harmston. And we had quite the adventurous drive-in because we tried to take an off-road. The highway was closed, so we ended up on some switchbacks. I think Mary talks about it on her, either this podcast or another one. We had a harrowing journey, but we made it. So,
okay. Was it a pretty drive at least?
It was beautiful. It was stunning on the way in. It was like, I've been to Denver before, but not really outside of the city as much. And there were moments on the ride where I really had to kind of pause, even if it was a little terrifying, and take it in. It was awesome.
That's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully you can come back sometime to the mountains of Colorado. Okay, so you got to ride with the headliners. That's pretty neat. Or drove. So you rented a car, right? If I recall correctly. Yeah.
Yep. So I rented a car from Denver and just went out and back because I had a super early flight the last day out. So I just wanted to be kind of in charge of my own destiny, as it were.
Yeah, nice, amazing. Do you remember where you stayed?
I stayed at the Antlers location.
Oh, how was that?
It was awesome. I didn't know what to expect because when they said we were sharing accommodations, in my mind I pictured, like your classic hotel room, like two beds side by side.
Yes.
But no, we had like a full 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like huge loft, incredible view of the mountains, stunning, hot tub. It was awesome.
I should pop in and just say, it's random where you end up staying. Sometimes you do end up in bed side by side in a hotel. Sometimes you win the lottery and you end up at Antlers at Vail, which is a gorgeous property and a supporter of Vail comedy. So thank you to Antlers. I'm glad you liked it. Did you like use the kitchen or anything?
No, I wish I could say I had any culinary skills whatsoever, but there was too much food out in town to eat, and
Nice.
I was pretty much on the go the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think one of my roommates may have tried to like do a little breakfast moment, but not much.
Nice. Any comics stand out that you met that you didn't know before at the festival?
Oh my gosh. I've been a huge fan of Emily Walsh's podcast for a long time.
What's it called?
It's called Alone at Lunch, and they interview folks in the arts and kind of through that lens of we're all a little bit outcasts in some ways. So to meet her in person was such a thrill. And then the festival keeps paying dividends. I'm off to San Francisco next week for shows for Pride, and Sophia Garrow and I connected at the festival, and now we'll get to connect next week in San Francisco. And then Mal Hall was one of the headliners, and he came through Nashville to headline Backyard Comedy.
No way.
He was here.
Was that planned ahead of time, or was that post festival?
It was post festival. It was like the week or two after the festival. He knew he was coming through town.
That's what I meant. The booking.
Oh yeah.
No,
he was booked for that for a while because it's originally out of San Diego, where he's out of, and so it's just so fun to have these kind of connections with folks.
That's cool. So you went to that show. And were you on?
I was booked. I was counter booked on another show that night, so I didn't get to go over till after.
But you got to see him and say hi.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, Mal, what a great guy. Incredible.
Oh my gosh, incredible.
Just like really all-star of the festival. In fact, him and you, what a power team. Shaun and Mal, both all-stars of the festival. Well, that's amazing. So you're running into people around the country. That's great. Did you know anybody already who was at the festival?
Katie Novotny and I had been on a festival earlier this year, so it was really fun to reconnect with her. And then there were a couple people. So I got my start in New York, but like pre-COVID. So like Anna Bianco and I recognized her from mics and shows years ago. So it was fun to actually get to talk to her in person and like reconnect. So I kind of loosely knew a few people coming in. Zach Mama and I had been on a festival earlier this year together. None of my nearest and dearest comedy folks, but it was great to get to meet the crew that was out in Vail.
That's amazing. Cool. Talk to me about venues and shows. Do you have any stand out for you?
Yeah, it's now a month ago. It was the Lodge of Christiana, right? Or am I?
Those are two different venues. So there was
Oh,
I
two different
think
venues.
you're probably talking about Christiania Hotel, which has Sarah's
Yes.
Lounge, which is the one with the short ceilings and yeah.
Yeah, that room was fire. So I did kind of my showcase set there, and then I also got to host one of the open mics in that room. And it's just one of those rooms that's so perfect for comedy. Like you said, like low ceilings, everybody's packed in. There was like a great side area that like the comics kind of got to hang out in, but not disrupt the show. You know, sometimes green rooms next to shows can
Yeah.
get a little rowdy. Uh, so that was by far my best show for sure. When I did my showcase set, it just felt like fire. And then when I hosted the open mic, you know, sometimes when you're doing
I mean,
those
that was
5 minute
like
quick,
a Sunday at 5 p.m., just for context for everybody. Bright
yeah,
light outside. So continue.
yeah, Sunday at 5 p.m., like stacked with comics. And like sometimes you can lose momentum on shows like that. But this one, I felt like everybody brought their A game. The audience was so on board. And I think that's a testament to the festival because this was probably the audience's last one or two shows. A lot of them
Yeah.
had been around all weekend and they were still so on board to have a good time. That room is awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Amazing. Well, shout out to the Christiania Hotel and Sarah's Lounge. It's a super place. We got to have our little barbecue kickoff there. Did you make it to the barbecue kickoff or you missed
No, me, Mary, Mack, and Tim Harmston were up in the mountains somewhere.
it?
So
Okay.
we did not make
You're
it to that point.
careening around canyons.
Yeah.
Amazing. You talked about food earlier. Any good food out in Vail?
Oh my gosh. I loved Loaded Joe's coffee shop because I don't know, it really the altitude acclimation hit me. Like the first day I did not feel I wasn't eating a lot, I wasn't drinking a lot. Like I was really kind of calibrating. So when I woke up that second day, I was so hungry and needed food so badly. And their breakfast sandwich like really brought me back to life. And then the George, that basement bar that we had
Yeah.
one of the after parties
Mhm.
at, I ate there 2 times, I think. And that
Nice.
was like perfect
Kind of
bar
a
grub food.
sleeper place. Their happy hour prices are very good, and the food is comparable to like fine dining places where you'll pay 2 or 3 times as much. So, yeah, that's a great call. Did you do anything besides comedy during the weekend?
Not really. I was kind of just like I got invited to a hike, but I just didn't quite have. I'm more of a lounge guy, so I did take advantage of the hot tub,
Nice.
and that was a fun kind of like afternoon decompress, beautiful views, uh, and then just walked around the town. Honestly, some of the architecture of like the homes and the surrounding area was just stunning. Just kind of taking it all in. I'd never been there before, so it
Yeah.
was a really cool chance to get to experience a very different place.
Yeah. Did you ever walk all the way from Lion's Head where Antlers is into Vale Village?
Yeah, actually, I walked most times. Every day I walked into town. At night, I would take the bus back just because at that point, well, once there was a bear running around, so I was definitely getting on the bus. But the walk was stunning, beautiful, right
Did you
along
see
the.
the bear?
I did see the bear. Yeah,
Oh my
it was.
gosh, you're my first. I've asked. You're like the 12th person I've interviewed. We've talked about the bear on almost everyone. You're the first person. So let's hear the story. We got to hear
It
it.
was truly a surreal moment. I was heading over to Aviator Nation just to watch, and there was a crowd coming out of a restaurant, and they were clearly excited about something, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But you know when something unusual is happening, and
Yeah.
truly a bear just runs across my path a fair bit away, climbs into a tree, and it was such an unusual experience for me being a city person that I said out loud to myself, "Was that a bear?" Because your brain just doesn't quite process what's happening in the moment. So I did get to see it. It was cool. Once
That's
I knew it wasn't really a
amazing.
threat.
What could you see it in the tree once it climbed up the tree?
It was if you some people got pretty close to the tree. I think if you were close you could, but he was just up there, I guess scavenging and chilling and yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Did it move quick? I want more
It
details. Tell
moved
me
it
more.
moved it moved fast. I think that's why it really took me like a full second to understand what happened because it kind of lumbered across my path but with pretty quickly and you know, it's bigger than a raccoon. It's not a dog, and you're really trying to like. I'm in the mountains, but I'm also in this town. This can't be a bear. And he just bolted from wherever he was, and I guess he was making the rounds that night because he
Yeah,
must have come down from the tree because a lot of folks saw him.
yeah,
And I didn't know
incredible.
like, is he a threat? Is he safe and friendly? So I just kind of hightailed it out of there. I didn't really need a picture in exchange for getting mauled.
Right. That's incredible. Did you see any other creatures during the weekend?
That was pretty much it. I didn't see
We had
anything, nothing
somebody
that
else saw a
exciting, anyways.
moose.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
And then there
cool.
was like, deer and elk and more boring pedestrian stuff. But bear, very exciting, very cool that you got to
Yeah.
see that. That's never happened in the history of the festival, that there was a bear, and it was like during a comedy show right next to the comedy show. How long did it take you to walk from where you saw the bear to that venue?
Oh, 30 seconds. It was like right around that corner, and it was right there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Any any good bars or late night places that you enjoy?
Um, I mean, I just double down on the George because I like that kind of vibe, like a chill hang. I felt like that had good spaces to like, it had booths so you could sit with a small group, you could stand and kind of migrate around. And they actually had a really good beer selection as well. A lot of local beers. And then for other bars, I went the rainy afternoon. I ducked into, I think it's just called Vail Brewing Company up on
Yeah.
that mezzanine,
Yep.
kind of in the
Mhm.
center of town. And they had a great craft beer selection. So that was really
Nice.
fun.
Awesome. Any tips for future comics coming to the festival?
Ooh, so especially coming from like where I am on towards the East Coast, I'm out of Nashville. I came in Friday and that just worked for my schedule. Like I had chose Thursday and stuff here locally, but I actually would budget getting there maybe the day early because one, there's shows you can do if you
Yeah.
kind of flag it early enough for the team. And also I didn't realize it was a long travel day. Like by
Yeah.
the time I got into Denver, got the rental car, picked up the headliners, drove in, ran into some traffic snafus. So that's probably one tip. Like if you're coming out there, really recognize that it's not quite just land in a city and go.
Yeah.
It is a little bit further out. So that's one thing I would probably have done a little
Yeah,
differently.
I don't know if we'll continue to do this every year, but probably we organized this year and last year a show Wednesday before the festival in Denver, and then Thursday up in Vail, a free for local show, which was really fun. And a lot of comics come in early, because they're trying to get spots or they're visiting family or they want to go to Red Rocks or do something. They're paying for a plane ticket. They don't necessarily want to zip in and zip out. And so we try and have some opportunities for them. So yeah, that's a really good tip. Come in early. Also, I would say I would like add to that, if you are going to come in Friday, like get the very first flight out of wherever you're coming from. Get into Vail early because you're also the first comedian who's talked about traffic. Everybody else had kind of smooth sailing, and you were one of the later parties to kind of arrive at the festival. We try and encourage people to get there like early afternoon, and so it just makes everything simpler. And then flights get delayed and, you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But that's a real pro tip. Come in early. And honestly, Colorado is a beautiful place. Like you can't go wrong spending some extra time in Colorado. It's super
Oh
fun.
yeah. And that time of year was beautiful. It was still kind of cool, like a nice spring vibe. So yeah, it was well worth the time to get out there.
Nice. Do you feel like you packed well for the festival?
Yeah, actually I did. And I don't usually pride myself on my packing skills, but I got everything in a carry-on and we were in the summer heat in Nashville already. So I went back from shorts and t-shirts to, bulkier kind of hoodies and jackets and stuff. But it got cold at night. Like you
Yeah.
really need to be prepared for some cool temperatures.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know if it's a desert climate, if that's the right word, but it definitely it can get kind of chilly. So that's a good advice. Let's see. What else should we got to wrap this up in a little bit. Any general comedy festival tips? You're probably a comedy festival vet.
Ooh, I'm really fortunate. I've done quite a few this year, and I would say one of the benefits of Vail and one of the things that folks should take advantage of is because it's in this small town and everything is walkable. Just go to everything and engage with everything because I feel like sometimes in city festivals it's easy to kind of you've got your hotel or you've friends in town and you can do other things. Whereas this festival like really felt like summer camp, and to avail yourself of like going to watch the other shows, going just to the hangs and just walk around. Like some of my favorite memories were just walking around with comics and bumping into other comics. And then there's a big comic circle on the street. So I would say just like be as out and about and active as possible, especially with this festival, just because of the nature of it.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I would say is hang around at any festival, really. Like, as much as it is about the comics and networking, also the audiences are so happy to see new faces and new comedy. And so after that show at Sarah's Lounge, the showcase one, which I felt really well. Like I stood outside with my QR code on Instagram and chatted with the audience, and a ton of folks followed. A ton of folks gave really positive feedback. And so, just balance those two things, the comic networking and the audience engagement.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very unique, special thing about the Vail Comedy Festival, because every venue is within like basically a 5-minute walk of each other, maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that, but rounds to 5 minutes. And so you can't, and everybody's wearing a lanyard with a credential on it. And so you see these like herds of people, whether they're comics or audience members, just like wandering around Vail Village, which is a very beautiful place. And everybody's happy because they just went from one comedy show and they're going to another comedy show. So that is great advice. Did you run into any audience members outside the context of a comedy event? Like you're at lunch or breakfast or looking at a bear or whatever?
I definitely saw folks with the lanyards for sure. I didn't have any like interactions with folks, but there is that moment of like seeing the folks with the lanyards and kind of being like, you've got your lanyard on. Did they see you? Do they know who you are? Like that quasi celebrity status. But I didn't have any like big run-ins, no.
Okay, cool. Nobody was asking for your autograph this time.
No, not at this point. Someday maybe.
Yeah, it's coming. All right, how can people find you, Shaun?
I'm on Instagram at Sean Flanagan Comedy, SeanFlanagan, and also by the same name on YouTube, and trying to make TikTok happen. But I'm a millennial and I'm not sure that that's my forte. So Instagram is the place to find me.
Amazing. All right, VailComedyFestival.com. Vail Comedy Festival is every Memorial Day weekend. Next year will be May 23 through 25, 2025. Comics, if you want to apply, if you want to be like Shaun, you can apply starting November 1st every year, and audience members can start buying passes January 1st every year. Shaun, thanks so much for your time, and stick around so we can chat a little bit. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to Live from Vail Comedy Festival. There are lots of other episodes you can watch. Check them out, and have an awesome day. Bye.
Thank you.